It's a day celebrating a drum major of justice. WAD's Megan Odell spoke with one family who is living out the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about more than 50 years ago.
Dawn, it's a dream of justice, equality, and a chance to be anything you want despite your ethnicity. The Walker family walks us through their struggles and successes and why they owe so much to Dr. King.
Just as I have a dream.
Dr. King led our country into a movement of equality for all, no matter the complexion of their skin.
We're only living his dream, is that we could walk together, we could work together, we could live together in peace.
It's a dream of hope. It's a dream of faith. I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King to me represented the greatest hope ever for African Americans.
One that has been fully realized in the Walker family, a local lineage that includes prominent business owners, law enforcement officials, and community leaders.
We remember him as of this day of his work and his legacy. And we're going to continue the struggle for our young people, our young men, to have role models and identification that you can be somebody, you can be a businessman, you can be an entrepreneur.
Pastor at Main Street Church Thomas Walker has owned a local funeral home and automotive business for a combined 40 years. His older brother, the late Roger Walker, was the first African-American sheriff in all of Illinois. Younger brother Arthur Lee was Decatur Township clerk and sister Hilda, township trustee.
My father taught us how to do unto others as we would have them to do unto us. He taught us how to work hard, and do a fair day's work for a fair day's pay.
A few sons of Pastor Walker, Anthony and Shay Lynn, have enjoyed successes of their own. Both describe the groundwork laid by their father is the best example of Dr. King's legacy living on.
And every day that I see the success of my father and his father and the late Uncle Roger, I feel the dream every time I get out of bed.
Just being a part of the family and my brothers and Uncle Roger's legacy it just gave us a light to when we wanted to do wrong or not know which way to go. We just always had them to look towards.
The Walker family, living out Dr. King's dream. Martin Luther King Jr. would have been 88 years old this week. I'm Megan Odell, WAD News.
An annual Central Illinois tradition held today remembered Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s push for civil change. It was an annual march honoring his legacy in Decatur, and while a crowd did show up, area leaders shared concerns with the lack of impact his work seems to have on today's youth. They're saying kids today don't understand what people had to fight for decades ago for rights and equality.
Many people laid down their lives so that they could have the right to education. So we want to express to our young people that while the day is still yet young, get as much education as you can.
Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee in April of 1968 while helping striking sanitation workers. He was only 39 years old. In Washington, D.C., a wreath was placed in King's honor at the site of his monument. It is the 6th annual wreath laying and day of reflection and reconciliation at the MLK Memorial. People were invited to attend and reflect on how the MLK Memorial is a living, breathing beacon for the principles of democracy, justice, hope, and love. The wreath laying is just one of many events that happened today nationwide to honor King. A Decatur sorority did honor King's memory with a big donation. It's part of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Chi Psi Omega filled large storage backpacks with toiletries and goods and delivered them to the Oasis Center. Chapter President Stacey Young says the donations help address an important need in the community. Martin Luther King III met with President-elect Donald Trump today. The two shook hands before Trump left, declining to comment. Martin Luther King III says Americans need to come together and fight poverty. He says he and other activists will hold Trump accountable and demand he works as a champion for all Americans.